Hi and welcome back. Today, how to make a stained glass tree number 10, with metal leaves and crystals over a silicone covered form. This is one of my most successful trees and I just love it, so I want to share it with you. So for the crystals, I had to cut my foil with regular 7/32 inch wide black backed foil in half, and I used that to foil my red glass globs. Now I'm using these to make a garland to go around my tree. So this is one of the first things I did, was make a whole bunch of these tree globs, decorations, get them all ready. So I wrap them around and then I burnish them down with my little fid there. And I like to make a whole bunch of them so I don't run out when I actually do use them. Now for the garland itself, to hold these globs together, I'm using 20 gauge wire that I am wrapping around. It looks like a Vaseline tube, but whatever is the right size for your glass globs. I wrap around it and then I twist them a few times so I get the look I want. For this particular one, I wanted like 4 little twists in between each glass glob. Now make sure that you solder both the top and the bottom so that they're all strongly soldered on. Now don't heat up the globs too much, because when you put the foil on them, you didn't really wrap around the glass. You just kind of did the edges, because that's why I cut it in half, so I wouldn't really lose a lot of the circle of the glass. So if I heat it up too much, they're just going to fall right out of that garland hoop that I made for them. Now this is another hoop. This is put on my foam that's been covered with liquid silicone, and I do have a video on how to work with that. And this is my favorite way. I made a whole bunch of different versions of how to make a supportive tree shape for making these trees, but this is the one that I really like the best. So I made a hoop at the bottom, and of course you can buy the macrame kind that are used for like macrame or dream catchers. You can buy the metal hoops that are already made, but then you have to cover those hoops with more foil so that your solder will attach to them. Now, as you notice, I'm making like staples out of pieces of wire, and I'm also using pins to hold this garland in the space where I want to. So that's just a straight pin that I have right there. And so that's very handy. This was a white foam tree, I think it was, or maybe this was one of the green ones. Either one of them worked just as well. And you can stick any kind of another wire or a pin or a thumb push pin into it, a thumbtack or a push pin. And that's really handy that you can just pin them right in, and you can use these tree forms again and again. This way of making a form just really was nice. Now what I have right here are some leaves. They are made out of an alloy metal. So the metal does accept solder, so I don't have to completely tin these. Like, even when I'm done, I can just leave them the color they are if I want to. They usually come in silver, gold, or kind of a dark coppery kind of color. So depending on where you get them, and I usually get them when I can get them on sale. They might come in different colors. When I'm done with this project, I ended up covering every leaf with solder so they all were the same color. But sometimes I like to use these alloy metal in like steampunk type of artwork, and sometimes I like to put a patina on them, like a copper patina or a black patina, and thus I would then have to cover them completely with solder anyway if I want to patina them so that the patina will stick to them. But right now, I just have leaves of different sizes. As you can see, I have a little bit different colors and different sizes of leaves. And just like some of the other trees that I have demonstrated, I'm using like the leaves themselves to kind of hold together the garland from the bottom so that they're kind of like supporting it. And these crystals, which were foiled with about a quarter of the width of a 7/32 inch foil. And they really be careful. They're pretty heavy because they're glass, so be really careful. Don't heat them up too much because you don't want them to release, because it's only the stickiness really, and maybe an extra bit of glob when you're actually soldering it on that's actually going to prevent them from falling off their foil. So as you can see, I kind of spaced my my crystals here and there all over it. And I'm trying to use different colors of crystals in different places so that they're going to be like the decorations one would have on a tree. Now, right now I'm covering the leaves that really need to be soldered, like so any darker colored leaf. The ones that were silver, I'm not as worried about, but the ones that were darker colored definitely need to be coated with solder. I also need to cover the edges and sides of anything that hasn't been soldered yet. So if one of those crystals I put on hasn't been some of the sides haven't been soldered, then yeah, I'm going to have to add solder to them also. Now, once I was done with this, I had to make the topper. So I wanted some kind of crystal type of topper to put on top of the tree. For this one, I used a bunch of, they're called chandelier crystals, and they were actually AB crystals. So they had an aurora borealis type of coating on them, which gives them that colored look. And then I used a wire and bent the wire around a bead and added a bead to the end of each one of these ends of the crystals. So as you can see, it gave like an interesting shapes to the topper. And I am going to have a video just on all my different toppers because it really was interesting, all the different types of star toppers that I made for these projects. So the extra wire that you can see that's hanging down there, I'm using that wire to help solder as something that I can use to solder my my topper to my star topper to the tree itself. Those crystals that you see that I'm using up there, so those were like octagon shapes that they have one hole on one side and one on the other, and people usually use them like to fix a chandelier that has broken strings, or they just want a whole string of crystals going from one to another. So that's why I had to add a bead to one side so that they had something at that other hole. You can see that I am now adding more leaves kind of to cover up any of those holes that I created at the top where I added the tree star too. So I'm just kind of like adding some in there so they all kind of blend together. So this was a really fun tree. Thank you for watching. As you can see, there it is right there, and it has some different color lights in it. So you can, usually you can use clear LED lights or colorful ones, whatever you want. And please subscribe so you don't miss my videos that are coming up. And thank you very much. Bye-bye.